Disclaimer. We are two regular guys who love to talk Bone Thugs and Harmony. We do not represent Bone Thugs or any Bone affiliate. We are also not Bone Thugs experts. The views and information you hear in this podcast may be based on personal opinion. Please feel free to leave corrections and clarifying information in the comments. And enjoy. Alright, y'all. We are back. Beyond the Harmony, Cecil West.
John Lippy.
Once again, it is the weekly time to talk about them 5 true thugs from the double Glock, Bone Thugs and Harmony. This is a special one tonight, though. This one is probably unlike any interview we're ever going to do, regardless of who we interview from here forward. Tonight is special. Tonight we have K-Chill. If you don't know who K-Chill is, you're about to get very familiar.
He is the, not originator, but responsible with a couple other people for bringing us Bone Enterprise Faces of Death.
Yeah. It's a huge situation. He's listed as an executive producer, but if you've paid attention to any interviews, he's been mentioned by Crazy Bone. The guy is noted for, helping these guys, and by these guys I mean Bone, helping them get the deal that brought us Faces of Death, that may have, brought us Bone Thugs and Harmony. So this is a huge deal, and he had a lot to do with it. Like I said, he's an executive producer. He was in charge of the layout, and there's so much you're about to find out here. We're real excited, and we're taking this time right now to tell you about this, because this interview that we're about to have, this is why we even have this show.
Beyond the Harmony was born from the discovery of finding K-Chill back then.
Yeah, it's like 2015, and just like we've told you in other episodes, John and I, we talk Bone a lot, and one day I'm looking over Faces of Death, and I'm just like looking over the thank yous and the people involved, and I'm like, man, this K-Chill guy, he's in here a bunch of times. There's got to be more to this. And I hit up John, and I just said, there's something more here. And if you've seen John's channel, you saw that he jumped off from that conversation and did an awesome video on Faces of Death that includes information about K-Chill, and it's some of the first, good information that I think the Bone community had on K-Chill. But it's about to get really complete. I spent the next probably I think I found K-Chill in a day, right? But it took me all fucking day, right? Or did it take me a couple days?
Well, it took you a couple days, and it took you some resources to get to K-Chill. It wasn't an easy find, and
nope.
You had, even at first you had thought that Kermit Henderson may have been K-Chill because of the K in Kermit, but then you heard an interview with Kermit where he actually mentioned K-Chill by name, and then you're able to figure out that, okay, K-Chill, Kermit Henderson, 2 different guys, and we just went on this journey, and it's been 3 years, and we've been wanting to do this interview for a long time. I had made that Bone Enterprise video a couple years ago because I just couldn't stand the wait to do this and to actually have it happen on tonight. We're going to learn answers to long-held questions that Bone fans have had for 20 plus years. We're going to find out about the Band-Aid Boys. We're going to find out all kinds of things about Faces of Death that we didn't know. So I can't imagine what we're going to learn tonight. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, and this type of interview, this represents to the fullest why this show is here. I can't push this enough that this is really what I'm here for, is to be able to talk to guys like K-Chill that are going to be able to tell us information that we don't fucking know. There's so much in Bone that we know. I was on a board today and somebody, just said, hey, there's just nothing new. It's not that we don't want to talk about it, but we've talked about everything. There's nothing new. There's nothing new because we haven't uncovered it. And that is what this is about, is uncovering the untold. So, that's going to go down tonight. I remember when I was trying to find K-Chill, I found Kermit Henderson on Twitter. I didn't get an answer, but I was able to use his page. I found a different K-Chill in a totally different place that also has a career, that's also done songs with Layzie Bone, and that confused the situation. That confused the fuck out of the situation for a minute. And that guy also has like a successful, career, like this K-Chill. So it really made it tough. I eventually was able to figure out that the K-Chill in Ohio was part of a group. I did a bunch of information on, or searching on that group, got it all the way down to Facebook finally, found him, and back then Facebook wouldn't let you message somebody that you didn't know. It would just automatically kick it to the others box. And with that other box, people never read it. You don't get the alert. They may not see it for years, but I was able to pay money, and I think it was something stupid like $1. Like pay $1, this would go to inbox. So I paid $1, took $1 shot, and sent the guy a fucking inbox in like 2015 and said, "Hey, are you the same K-Chill that did the song Get Your Funky On?" And I knew that this was the right K-Chill because I looked up, that record, saw that it was done in Ohio. It was done with, a different company. But I said, "Are you the one?" I knew this must be the guy. And he got back to me and said he was. And that is how Beyond the Harmony was born. And you guys have heard us say, that there's been this many years for a reason. And we're just getting around to it now. But that's where this came from, was this guy, this reason, this fucking like urge to know the questions we're going to ask tonight, or how Beyond the Harmony got born.
And if you're sitting there wondering, what's the big deal about K-Chill, in case you haven't seen the Bone Enterprise video I did, it's that he's listed as the executive producer of Faces of Death. So that's what hit Cecil's mind when he saw K-Chill is the executive producer, and he also had a hand in some of the artwork and a couple other credits in the album cover liner notes. You're like, how did we never hear of K-Chill? He is the Eazy-E before Eazy-E, essentially, because Eazy was always the executive producer.
I'll tell you what else was kind of a tip-off that I had to find out about this guy. No Limit Records style, they got the listing of all the records coming up, and one of them is K-Chill's, and it says that it's going to be on Jammit Recordings. Now, if you remember on the inside of Bone Enterprise, it says Layzie appears courtesy of Jammit. Almost like Layzie had a solo career outside of Bone Enterprise, and because these guys were both on Jammit, but K-Chill was also like an executive producer in charge of the layout, he shouted out in the thank yous. Now keep in mind, in the fucking thank yous, Flesh and Bone just gets his name mentioned, okay? K-Chill is shouted out for hooking them up. So I was like, there is something about this guy. But I couldn't put together, again, we know so little about the Layzie Bone deal. And Layzie Bone was on Jammit fucking Recordings, a whole different label. So there was so little that we knew. I knew I had to find this guy. And now I was so happy when he agreed that he would do this. And then so many years went by that by the time we reached out this year, I was like, wow, I hope he'll still do it, But he's a great dude. We've been seriously blessed to be able to work with him.
And not only that, like on the whole Layzie Bone tip, he sent us a picture of him and Layzie Bone. It was almost like a press photograph of just the two of them, and it looked like it was older than 93. Based on the clothing that they were wearing.
Yeah, so, I mean, early 90s, it didn't... I'll say this, and you guys have probably seen the photo now, because at the time when he sent it to us, it wasn't as readily available. I mean, I think he had just started putting it out in 2015, and he put that photo out. So now you guys have probably seen it. I did use it for the promo photo as well, but, if you look at what Layzie Bone's wearing in that photo... versus like the Bone Enterprise album. You know, he's wearing a hoodie and the hat. I mean, it looks different. So you could assume that that's probably 92, maybe even 91, maybe 91, because you know that fucking Bone Enterprise at least had to have been recorded in 92.
And kind of going back to what you were saying earlier too about there not being any new content or new things to talk about in Bone. That's kind of what we're trying to bring, because we noticed that as well, and we saw that there was a whole lot of storylines that hadn't been covered. There is that one great article. I think it was like the spoken word history of Bone Thugs and Harmony. That's a great article. I can't remember the exact name, but whoever did that article dug deep, got answers to a lot of questions. But we also noticed that there was just a lot of questions that hadn't been asked. Some research that we felt that we could probably do, people we could probably contact, and a method of recording interviews to hopefully, we want to show like the way we're thinking about things to help others to think along these same lines, to connect these kind of dots, and to just go there with the thoughts. And we've done it a couple times, and we saw that it spawned conversations and new theories. And I think that's always been the funnest part about being a Bone fan, is because of the cryptic nature of everything, is coming up with theories. People come with theories, and then other people debating them, and basically what we're doing here. So that's what we're trying to bring.
You know what's crazy to me too, because Bone fans forever have cracked the code behind Eternal, and just like everything going on in the Art of War, and they want all this mystery, and I'm like, there's not more fucking mystery than the Faces of Death. The Faces of Death is like, even with everything that we know about it, we don't know shit. We know exactly what we've been told about Faces of Death, without any super confirmation on anything, minus, again, you can confirm the dates, and we can confirm like that the label was a real label, and all the basic shit, but there's no details the way, like, we have fucking crazy detail from Creeping on a Come Up. Even when you think about like how little that we think we know about Eternal, think of how much we fucking know about it, man, versus Faces of Death. So
it's all the Faces of Death info is just buried, and it's just not. And you're like, how is this not here? We know more about Eminem Infinite than Bone Thugs Faces of Death, and I kind of associate the two of those albums together because they're like the unknown albums from very, very famous artists. So and not only that, Faces of Death came out of nowhere for me. Like, I'm sure living in Cleveland, people knew about it, but living in Florida, I went to the store to buy Eternal, and it kept getting pushed back. And like by the third time, and the album got pushed back, but I still went to the store hoping that it came out. All they had was Bone Enterprise Faces of Death. And I'm sitting there thinking, all right, so did they change the name of the album? I'm looking at the cover, I'm thinking, man, they look younger than they do in the music videos that they have. And I think First of the Month was out at the time. So I didn't even know what I was buying. There was no advertising, no information about Faces of Death coming. I go to the store, it's there. I'm like, okay, I guess this is it. Why aren't they called Bone Thugs and Harmony? It's Bone Enterprise, but it does say the 5 original thugs. And so I was just confused. To this day, you would have thought there'd be tons of fan stories about Faces of Death. 20 plus years have gone by, and we still don't have the full story of Faces of Death, which we hope to get tonight. And I think Kate Chill just kicked in onto the call.
I was just going to say, I think we're about to get those answers. Kate Chill, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there we go. So we got Kate Chill in the house with us. We were just giving him a little information about, how long we've been talking to you, and just when we reached out, and the process about, getting us all together here today, and how you're really, not only is Kate Chill, really responsible for helping bring us Bone Thugs and Harmony, but Kate Chill's responsible for helping bring on Beyond the Harmony. So it's an honor to have Kate Chill here with us tonight. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's an honor to be here. I appreciate it.
And we were marveling real quick. We were looking back on the notes we had with you a few years ago. the Cleveland Cavaliers were going for their first championship at the time. And I was just like, man, I wonder what that was like. Because I've been waiting my whole life for the Dolphins to win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. It hasn't happened. So I always like to ask people what it's like for their favorite team to finally, win a championship after waiting so long.
Shit, it was pretty incredible, man. Like, we were in my man cave, and I had a few family members over, and we was just going ham. But I tell you what's weird about it is even after the final buzzer, you still kind of sitting there like waiting on a foul call or just some fluke shit to happen, and they just say, "Oh man, we got to put 3 seconds back" or something. I mean, this shit is kind of like not bittersweet, but it's just like you kind of be in shock for a minute, like, damn, is this shit real? But everybody, we had tears in the house, we had people screaming and going bananas, and I was probably more on that end, but it was nice. We went down to the parade. That was fucking incredible. It was like at least like the most people I've seen in the city before that was probably like the '96 All-Star game, but it was like probably double that for the parade. And needless to say, Cleveland is not built for shit like that. So it was just like I actually jumped out the car, ran, got in the middle of everybody. By the time I got in the middle of everybody, I just looked around like, damn, I'm in like a sea of people and shit. Like, it was just like crazy, but it was great, man. We finally champions for the first time.
That's huge, man. That is huge. And I think it had to have done something to everybody subconsciously finally getting it. And I mean, I'm looking forward to the day that happens for the Dolphins, just so I could have that closure, have that winning feeling. But do you feel like a cloud was lifted off of Cleveland forever after, and maybe the Browns could recapture the glory again?
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's funny because like it was similar with me and with Bone in the in the rap game, and it's a few times like the ceiling been cracked in Cleveland, and it's a similar feeling like, wow, finally we where we supposed to be or whatever, and I mean, it was a great day for the city of Cleveland. I will say murder rate still sky high, shit. It was fun while it lasted type shit.
I'm gonna transition from sports over to a little music, because I got so many questions. I've been hitting K Chill now for the last 48 hours with questions. Every time I send the guy an email, I'm like, hey, I'm going to have some more questions. So I guess, the first thing that I want to establish for listeners is that, you have your own, historic, thriving career in the city of Cleveland. How'd you get your start in hip hop, in that city?
Well, when hip hop hit here, it was, let me just give you a quick little, make me feel 100 years old story and shit. But when, when we grew up, it was fucking rock and roll and country on the radio. And there were, you had very limited access to black music. You had, your aunties and uncles and shit. You would hear what they would play or whatever. And so when hip-hop came out, or when hip-hop not came out, but when it touched the Midwest, it was it was our thing. It was, super cool. And, like, you had breakdowns. You had dudes walking around carrying big-ass cardboard to battle. And, you had, MCing going crazy. And so basically what happened was I was on this kind of like, just as a youngster, I was always like a big kid. So I was probably like 13, 14, but I was like on a scene with like 19 and 20-year-olds and everything. And, I had kind of like started as a DJ for a breakdance crew. And, slowly but surely I would, write rhymes, and I would always put, my whole catch and gimmick was like I'm chilling here, chilling there. You know, raps was way simple back then, but you know, pretty soon, actually what happened one night, one of the guys in the crew when I was DJing, he had missed the show, and then, you know, had a little rap part in there, so I jumped out there and did it, and then, you know, everybody was digging it, and from there, I just kind of got, like, really, really serious about it, and would battle and, you know, get in battles around the city, and, like, I started hanging with, like, a lot of the little crews that was doing things in the city, because I was just like a youngster with them that, you know, would be taking, like, grown men heads on for shit, bar for bar, and it's like, pretty soon, that shit, I just got, like, a reputation, like, man, like, okay, this little young dude, he called, and, you know, it grew from there. But the whole time with that, you know, me and Bone, we all grew up together, was at the same schools and everything. We was, like, neighborhood friends or whatever, and basically anytime I'd be out battling somebody, like, killing them, you know, it'd be like that was my crew and my, you know, my cheering section, because we'd be representing St. Clair pretty much. Like, I had to pretty much hold it down for St. Clair at the time.
Now, about, I heard you say high school. About what year was it that, like, you met Kermit Henderson? Because you were the first one involved with him, right?
Right. So, like I said, I was making noise locally, just, you know, battling and stuff, and I had, well, I would say like this, I was so I mean, it wasn't per se. I'm trying to phrase this the right way. So we didn't have mixtapes, but we had, like, basically Layzie would record me, or like Layzie had this real crazy way how to like basically loop a beat back then using 2 cassettes, like on a boom box. And so he would loop beats, and then we'd just take another cassette. We'd record the loop, like by him just pausing it and record, pause, record, until we filled it up with like maybe 4 minutes of the loop or the break. And then we'd come right back with me rapping on it. And, you know, that started circulating a little bit. But Kermit got wind of me, and then I'm leaving people out. See, I want to tell the story correct. So actually, if you guys ever heard of Ted Ginn?
The football player?
The football coach at Glenville High School, got a bunch of players in the NFL right now.
Oh, yeah, he played on the Miami Dolphins. He was a first-round draft pick.
Yeah, that's his son. But his father is Ted Ginn Sr. He was the football coach at Glenville, and he actually, you know, there's a lot of players like Marshawn Lattimore, different people that's in the league right now that come out of Glenville. That's our high school. That's my high school. So what had happened was, you know, we kind of like jump in the story too. So we're going to go back and forth. But by that time,
yeah, that's cool.
By that time, I had got a name for myself. I was playing football for Glenville, and then one day the head football coach, Coach Hubbard, asked me. They used to call me Rapper. He said, "Rapper." I was late for practice. He said, "Rapper, you gonna either rap or play football? Which one you gonna do?" And I put my helmet down and went to the locker room, and then the only one kind of checked on me was Ted Ginn Sr., and Ted Ginn was like, "Man, you know, I hear you rap pretty good and everything. Like, you know, what you need to make it happen?" I'm like, "Shit, I need to get in the studio." And he put up some money and had me in the studio like a week later. Wow. And then the buzz really started going, because like, yeah, he working on a project. And, you know, back then people really wasn't like we was the beginning of we wasn't really the beginning of the independent shit, but we was the beginning of the independent shit that was making noise lightweight. So from there, one day I go to the studio, and they tell me, "Oh yeah, Kermit bought your contract." So I had been knew about Kermit because you know, he was like the #1 record store in Ohio, or like top 5 in the country all the time or whatever. So I had come to find out he paid $5,000 and a keyboard to the studio. The studio that Ted Ginn sent me to ended up getting me on I don't even know if it was a contract or whatever it was at the time. Like the shit was so unknown, you know. You basically, at the time, you know, we didn't know it was about producers, about anything. You know what I mean? It was just
right.
Man, I'm in the studio, I'm rapping. You know what I mean? So pretty soon, in the beginning, we were paying to go to the studio. Next thing you know, the studio owner is signing me and everything. But anyway, within a year, Kermit bought me out of that contract for $5,000 and a keyboard, and had me in the studio recording, you know, my first album with him, with Jammit, you know, Platinum.
Wow. I heard you mention in there that Kermit owned the record stores, and that's something I've heard before. He even said in an interview that like members of Bone worked at his record stores. Did you ever have that kind of relationship with him, or did it go right into the studio? Was that like your only?
No, we you know, me and Kermit was real cool. Kermit taught me a lot about the game. I think I did work in the record store periodically when he needed me back then. Matter of fact, I know I did. I did work in the record store before, and you know, it was like it was almost like a, you know, father-son relationship with Kermit. Kermit taught me a whole bunch about this game, but you know, like I said, I kind of jumped ahead in the story because you know, years before that, the whole thing with me and Bone, and I'm sure you guys probably going to ask me about the Band-Aid Boys, was junior high, and this is the story of the Band-Aid Boys right here. So junior high at FDR, Franklin Delaware Roosevelt, or as we used to call it, the Federal Department of Rats and Roaches. They would, you know, we were all in, that was 7th grade, 8th grade, so we would rap in the lunchroom, and at the time, I think the only people really rapping was like Crazy and maybe Steve. I don't think Flesh or I know Wish wasn't rapping yet. And, Bizzy wasn't around at the time yet, but so basically we would be in the, you know, in the lunchroom rapping and shit, you know, just making beats on the tables and shit and rapping and, you know, drawing a little crowd or whatever. And so at the time it was two main rappers in that school before I got there, and their names ironically were Ori and Corey. So it was like real easy to remember. So people were either with Ori crew or with Corey crew. So, you know, when I got there, it was about, you know, getting ready for the talent show time. And first Ori came and hollered at me on some shit like, chill, come get down with my crew for the show. You know, and then Corey eventually came with the same shit. And I was just like, man, I didn't really know what to do. And then I got to thinking like, shit, I get my dudes. They don't even really rap. Like we, you know, I was thinking like, shit, I'll win this shit with my dudes before, you know, before fucking with y'all. And so I told, you know, I presented the idea to Steve and everybody. Like, but like I said, they really wasn't rapping. It was like my dude. You know, they would fuck around and try to rap, but they was, you know, they was in the developmental stages, I guess you could say. So,
were you guys? Did you meet as classmates or as like neighbors?
We met more like in the neighborhood before even class, before even school. But I think, you know, like some of like, so me, Steve, and Stan knew each other forever. Me and Anthony, Crazy knew each other forever because me and Ant grew up right around the corner. So I'm gonna say me and Ant probably knew each other first, and then Steve and Stan next, then eventually Wish, and then like I said, Bizzy came in the same. But we came up with the shit like, all right, boom, we gonna put a crew together for the talent show, and so we named it the Band-Aid Boys. I think I had came up with that shit and was just on some, like I've read other things about Ant falling off a scooter and shit. I don't remember none of that shit. Like I'm like 95% sure I was just like, look, let's rock these Band-Aids, and then next thing you know, we had the whole school rocking these Band-Aids to the point where the principal brought me in the office and shit like, Chris, I heard you know, you the one responsible for this. Like, is it a gang? I'm like, no, we just about to be in the talent show and we the Band-Aid Boys. I think I made up some bullshit like we be trying to heal the world. We all be on some positive shit. Like I was just running game and shit. And you know, make a long story short, we rocked that shit, you know, I don't even remember if we won it or not, but I know some people got pictures of this shit to this day. And there was another guy in the Band-Aid Boys named Barry, and I forgot. I mean, I don't really know what happened to him or whatever, but we did that shit, and, you know, we was writing and shit from there. But from that point on, you know, the whole time it was like, you know, they knew I was K-Chill, and they was, you know, and it was at the time just Steve and Stan and, you know, my dudes. But when junior high was over, I ended up going to Glenville, like I said, and they ended up going to Lincoln West because if you grew up on St. Clair where we grew up, you would get bused to the west side. But I had people that stayed in, you know, Glenville neighborhood, and my whole family had went there, so I was going to Glenville, and that's pretty much how you get the separation point between K-Chill and Bone Enterprise or Band-Aid Boys or whatever, because at that point, by the time we linked back up with Kermit, you know, they came in as Bone Enterprise.
So by the time you had recorded the Chill Factor, you already knew. Did you already know Layzie, Crazy, and Flesh?
Yeah.
At that
yeah,
point?
yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. They was right there with me. Everybody was like, so I was kind of like I said, I was making noise. I was doing shit on the solo, and on top of that, I was like one of the first to really be making that much noise. And I really was the first to really be making that much noise in Cleveland, like getting regular rotation on the radio and all that. And you know, when we had we kept in touch. You know, we was always in touch the whole time because we was doing shit in the streets too. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, you know, that rap shit wasn't never really paying for real. You know how that shit goes. So like we was still in the streets doing what we was doing, but at the whole time, you know, I was you know, kind of making noise on the music side. But by the time we linked back up was when I think it was after my first album, we had made some noise and shit. So Kermit had the idea of coming up with this talent show so that we could, you know, generate some money and some more publicity for me and all kind of shit. So we had these auditions, and then one day, you know, I was on like the judge panel, and then one day, look who pop up, but my little dudes, you know, ready to audition and whatnot. So bam, they did. You know, the rest from there. Shit, y'all pretty much know that.
So then, to finally answer this for the Bone fans once and for all, the Band-Aid Boys basically lived and died for the talent show. It wasn't like an ongoing thing where you guys might have had like some secret album that nobody knows about. It was basically the talent show and nothing else.
That's it, except for the fact that let Layzie call it. He swear we gonna do this album. So I put that out there. We was on a tour with him in 2010. He pulled me to the side like, you know, we gotta do that Band-Aid Boys album. Like to this day, he be on that Band-Aid Boys album. And like for real, I mean, that should be hot because like the whole idea with it, like I said, we was like waiting on some positive shit. At this point, like shit, the world needs that more than anything right now. It was kind of like a funny joke at the time. Now it's real as fuck. Like shit, real shit.
Did you ever, were they rapping fast back then? Were you ever part of that process of creating the fast rapping or the harmonizing, or that kind of, you were doing your thing and they had their thing, kind of like Eazy had his thing and Bone had their thing?
I'm gonna say where that shit. This my opinion of where that shit coming from. So, like I said, we jumping back and forth in this story because like you ask the question and it bring up a memory or something or whatever. But like I can remember when we were like getting took all over the country to different like Impact and Jack the Rappers and shit like that. And I can remember me and Bizzy specifically in New York one time, just like a fucking karate movie. Like we just step into the lobby of the hotel and they rap battling in there. And like I remember what's the motherfucker? What's his name? All I Want to Do Is Zoom. Teddy Riley. Teddy was there. Yeah, Rex and Effect was there. It was like a few people there in this big ass crowd with like 80 rappers. And I can just remember me and Bizzy walking in the middle of that shit and just destroying them like on some karate movie shit to where like Teddy Riley and all them rushed up with their cars. I can remember New York niggas talking about Matt Cleveland in the house. Like we was like, I could just remember them motherfuckers looking like we were some aliens with that fast shit, and it was just like fucking unbelievable to them. Like it's like some new shit they never heard in their life. But where I'm gonna say it came from is, so you got to do your own research, and y'all, I guess y'all are listening to hear what I'm talking about. So I would drop a couple fast bars in a song, and I was getting it kind of from MC Ren, really. I'm going to say MC Ren was my influence for that shit, because you'll hear Ren chopping like that every blue moon. And then it just got to the point where instead of just a couple bars of it, I do like a verse of it like that or whatever. Then I'm going to say that's where their influence came from with the fast flow. Like to this day, I probably still got like one of the fastest. Like, I mean, I probably got to say I'm right up there with Twister and Layzie or whoever. But then I'm going to say Bizzy some kind of way put that singing in there with that shit. Like, because when they came back, like they was not singing like that when they was fucking with me like that. They came back with that shit. Like somewhere, and that's what made me bring up that New York shit, because somewhere in that New York shit, when we was murdering, like, I ain't gonna say all they rappers, but all the ones that was in that hotel was getting murdered. Like Bizzy was he was harmonizing a little bit, and that shit was like, man, like when I tell you we was literally walking up in between niggas and just whoever was rapping, it was like we was two pit bulls, and our handlers were just like sick, and we had just battling them, like, and to the point where it ain't even no battle, because once we was coming with that fast shit, they didn't even want to open their mouth no more, because it was just so far advanced past what the fuck they was doing. You know, these niggas was fresh off of or whatever, you know what I mean? Or so I ain't gonna say Curtis Blow style, but they was, you know, LL, you know, they was on the late 80s, early 90s New York WAP shit, and we was on that fashion, and it was like, what the fuck? Like, how can we compete with that almost?
Wow. It's crazy to hear all those things, because, you know, to hear where your thought that the fast rap piece may have, you know, come from. There's been so many guesses as to what that influence was.
No. How ironic that then they end up with Ruthless, because I swear
right.
we got that shit from Ren. I put my life in that shit. That's where it basically, I mean, that's definitely where the fuck it came from, because that's where I got it from. And like I said, I just would do it kind of how Ren did it at first, with just a bar or two with it, but then I just eventually turned it into the whole verse, and then they took it and turned it into the whole verse harmonizing.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great information. I wanted to ask a follow-up too about the Band-Aid Boys piece. At that point, was any, and I know you said that like it was like Crazy and Layzie, was anybody going by anything Bone at that point, or did like the Bone thing not happen until like Bone Enterprise?
No, they I don't even think they was going as Bone until like when we got ready to start recording and shit. Like I don't even think when they came up for that audition it was Bone. It was like somewhere along the way, I remember I just remember one day it was like, oh yeah, we got names. Okay, it's gonna be Bone, it's gonna be Layzie Bone, with, you know, this. And I'm like, okay, shit, that's what's up. And then it was Bone Enterprise, just on some shit like Incorporated, or, you know, like I forgot what a couple of crews had some business type shit in their name back then, but that was just like to kind of make it sound official, like Bone Enterprise. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's kind of how that shit came about.
Because I know, you know, you were with Jammit, and I actually got another question where we're jumping around a little bit with the Jammit piece, but I know you were with Jammit, and was Layzie there first before the group? Did Layzie have like a solo situation before Bone Enterprise?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, nothing official like a situation. Just the fact that that was my dude. Like out of the whole group, me, Steve, and Stan probably the closest. You know what I mean? Because we just always was. We instantly was like brothers from the day we met. You know, before they even went to LA and shit, they would be at my house eating my cereal, staying with me, and you know what I'm saying, walking with me in the streets. You know what I mean? So it was like the whole, you know, that's kind of how that was. I think a lot of times I had Steve with me or something, like, so he kind of knew what was all going on anyway. So I think that's even how he knew about the, you know, the auditions and whatnot. But I had the whole plan was originally was to get them on board with what we were doing and everything anyway by then, because, you know, the next step after my CD had sold pretty good was like, what you want to do? I'm like, you know, I want to get my little dudes on. And so, you know, that's what we did or whatever. But when they came, I'm going to say, no, when they first got there, I don't think they had that Bone name yet.
Okay. And I'll tell you the reason why, you know, I asked like the solo piece was, you know, inside the Bone Enterprise album, only Layzie Bone is noted as appearing on behalf of a label. You know, he appeared courtesy of Jammit. There's a photo of just you and Layzie Bone that looks like it's like a Jammit, you know, almost like picture.
Let me say this, like, I'm sure it was gonna be a Layzie Bone album in the works and shit. Like, I'm like Kermit probably promised at one point, you know, it probably was, and we was just, you know, doing a cross promotion spirit or whatever. But like, you know, in the beginning, you know, it was a lot of tumultuous times, you know what I mean, where it's like, man, you know, I mean, plenty times, like, you know, they had kicked Bizzy out the group, and I had to be like, oh, you know, no, you ain't out the group, and I call a meeting and boom, or, you know, like, maybe even to the point where Steve was just going to do an album and then still do Bone and everything. Like, you know, everybody, the shit was so fucking new. I ain't going to say we didn't know what the fuck we was doing, but at the same time, we was with any and everything. You know what I'm saying? We would have did a Band-Aid Boys album. We would have did a Bone and KC. We would have did whatever the fuck Kermit really said do or whatever at the time. Cause we just were like, oh, shit, he about to make it happen. You know what I mean? So, like, because you know, you actually just made me think about that shit with that picture of me and Steve, so it had to be something. So yeah, it probably was about to be a Layzie album, but
yeah,
if it ended up turning into the Bone album or whatever, but you know, for the record though, there's only been one member ever kicked out of Bone, and I kicked him out of Bone. His name was Fishbone, and that's something like enthusiasts could laugh about this story. So today, before we get ready to start recording their album, Faces of Death, they had been at my house on 88th and St. Clair for like a couple of weeks, just, you know, camping out, blowing, hustling, trapping, writing, like everybody would be doing, you know, doing they want to. And, you know, so every day we'll link up and be like, you know, okay, what we got? I'll make them run through all the, you know, verses with the beat playing and all that. And then, so, you know, Fishbone will just be laid. And I'm going to tell you something crazy. I cannot tell you who this dude was. I don't remember this dude's real name. I don't see him in the streets right now. Like, I don't even know. But I swear this is a true story. So right before we were getting ready to record, I'm telling Steve and like, man, this dude is a waste of time. He's like an anchor, man. He don't do nothing but get 20% for no fucking reason. Like, he don't got no bars. He be bullshit. He drinking all the time. So, damn, you know, I had already, like, set the little trap. So, damn, when we get ready to go record, I say, everybody be there on time. You know, he get there like an hour late. He got a 40-hour. I'm like, where your raps at? He reach in his back pocket and pull out, like, 3 crumbled-ass sheets of paper. And I just look at Steve and Ant like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And he was gone. But that's the only person that ever been put out a bomb was Fishbone.
Wow, that is I don't think anybody's ever talked about. So you're saying the original 5th member of what became Bone Thugs and Harmony wasn't Flesh. It was another member named Fish.
It was another dude named Fishbone. Flesh started rapping literally right before they left for L.A. Like, all of a sudden, like this one, I kind of knew something was up or it was about to go sour or something, because we was in the streets. None of us was fucking with Jammit or Stoney Burke no more. I had left and was trying to figure out how we was going to buy our contracts from Kermit and shit. And, like, you know, like, everything was cool. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna say facts. I'm gonna leave fucking feelings and shit out of this shit. I'm just gonna say, all of a sudden, I start coming through, you know, on some other shit and be like, you know, trying to take care of some shit or whatever, and they'd be like, oh man, Flesh colder than you know, chill. I'm like, what? Like, this shit was like absurd. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about? Like, fuck out of here. Like, boom. And then, you know, they'd be trying to high stand, battle me and shit or whatever. And to his credit, though, he was sounding good for not having been rapping. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, yeah, that's all right. Boom. But, you know, it wasn't like, I wasn't taking none of that shit serious. Like, he could rap better than me or whatever. But it was almost like some little animosity or some shit coming out or whatever, and I could kind of tell. But like, yeah, Flesh is shit. Actually, the fucking sixth member.
Wow, that's I guarantee that's something that, you know, hasn't been talked about. We had a bunch of questions from our board. We work with two boards. We have our own board on Facebook, and then there's a board, thugsandharmony.com, and people did have a lot of questions about Flesh at this time period, like if he was around during the recording or not. But to hear that there was a whole nother member and Flesh didn't come in until after.
Well, I mean, then again, now look, it's a technicality though, because then that depends on also if you consider the Band-Aid Boys original ball, because then he was there. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, he was there, but he wasn't no rapper. You know what I mean? Like, Wish and Stan is more on some. They was more street niggas than all of us. Stan was a basketball player. Flesh was the only. Well, I ain't gonna say. I think he might have been the only, but he was definitely the first dude in junior high dunking a basketball, any of that shit. So, like, we was always all together. But yeah, when they did that album, Flesh wasn't there. I don't know if Flesh was in trouble. I can't even really remember, to be honest with you, but he wasn't really there. And he was there. He was there after.
That's K-Chill. You're dropping bombs on him right now. I'm gonna move back because there's some important stuff that I wanted to ask that sounds like it happened a little before this. You know, you kind of explained how you end up with the label, how they ended up with the label. Just for the listeners, and we've talked about this in privately, and I know John talked to you about it in privately as well. Can you just explain the difference between like Stoney Burke, Jammit, even like the Platinum Music Group, and just how that all, because those things were all very consecutive throughout all your projects, and I think that's important for everyone to understand.
Well, it was all housed in the same building too. So what it was, so I come out with Kermit. I'm like Kermit Cash Cow on some rap music shit. You know, like I'm gonna say, like I was probably on okay, so let me put you in my state of mind. I was 16, 17, 18 and doing these, recording these shits and writing these rhymes and shit. So all my shit was on what, you know, 16, 17, 18 year olds gonna talk about. Loud music and cars and girls and hustling, and like I would say Kermit was trying to push me on some sex symbol LL shit, and my music would be anywhere from shit, some NWA sounding shit to almost like some Will Smith Summertime sounding shit. Like my shit was kind of like all over everywhere. I really didn't have like complete direction or a character or any of that shit, because rap was so new, you know what I mean? I was feeling it, like whatever the fuck I'm gonna rap about, I'm about to rap about that shit. And so, make a long story short, that's how you get the difference between Stoney Burke and Jammit. Jammit was more our you know, top 40 or mainstream label, and you know, gangster rap was so controversial at the time or whatever, or trap rap or whatever you want to call it, that, you know, Kermit's such a corny motherfucker, he thought Stoney Burke sounded like a hard-ass name or some gangster or some shit. That probably was his alter ego or some shit, you know, from the 70s, Stoney fucking Burke and shit. And if you look at the logo, it's like a cool motherfucker with like a little hat and shit. But, so you know, that's where you get the difference between Stoney Burke and Jammit. So he figured we'd put all our gangsters like Bone on Stoney Burke and put our sex symbol whatever's on Jammit, and that was his move. And now how you get Platinum is Platinum was ran by my dude Diego Black, and Platinum was basically the promotional aspect of the whole shit. And you know, that was the trifecta right there.
Okay, that answers questions as well. You know, I know Diego Black has been a topic before in the Bone world, and how he played into the situation. For you, well, you were involved with all this. You know, we know obviously K-Chill was an artist on, you know, Jammit in this situation. Did you also hold like an office position there? Like it sounds like you were almost like the A&R over here.
Yeah, I mean, I got Ball signed, I got Built the Last signed, I got Southpaw signed to Jammit. Once they, you know, demos started coming in, Kermit had me listening to them. I was like unofficial, official vice president type shit. Of course, he was promising me, you know, that shit gonna be yours type shit. But like I was definitely like that dude that was kind of orchestrating it and telling them who to fuck with or who not to fuck with. And you know, with the Bone situation, like, you know, it was just extra because it was my dude. So that wasn't even no really hard move. That was just like, come on, we gonna do it. And it was already in motion with, like I say, Southpaw, Built as a couple other artists. Like that was just demo sent in, and but a lot of them guys went on to do other big shit in the city, and you know, all kind of big shit. So like even Avant was on my single before anybody ever heard them. Like, so, you know, I mean, my roots in the city, they pretty fucking deep on the, you know, independent and national side or whatever.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna say I was doing research on, you know, just on your discography and your career. Did you know that like copies of the Chill Factor sell for like $50+ online? Like right now, they're right now you can go on a website, and the Chill Factor is selling for $50.
Oh yeah, a couple guys told me that. You know, I think when my dude screenshotted it and showed me that shit before. But yeah, that's what's up. You know, that's what's up. So I got.
And I'm curious.
I need some royalties. Need some royalties off that too.
You making royalties? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, yeah, I said I need some royalties off that shit.
Well, I'm curious to know about the Chill Factor and Get Your Funky Off. Like, what were those periods like of releasing those albums and just the reception of it? And I heard you sold quite a few amount of units of them. So, like, you know, how did that whole period go?
I mean, that shit was incredible because we was the first. Like, so it was other, you know, Johnny O, Sorcerer Crew. You had my dude Suave, the Pink Gangster. You had MC Chill. You had a lot of people. MC Chill was on Priority, I think. It was Priority. But you had people rapping in the city and shit, but it was just, you know, those was the true pioneers, and they was just like blazing the trail for us because, you know, they came in kind of like me. Like they came in at a time where, you know, they were just opening the doors. So once the doors got open, I came in and shit was rolling for me or whatever. But even myself compared to like the groups now, like from the city, you know, with the internet and everything, I mean, they got it really, really fucking good. Like if we had the internet, shit, we would have been breaking all kind of records because, you know, we was selling fucking CDs when they had the fucking security box on it, the little plastic box and all that shit, and they was $16. So, you know, we was actually selling shit, and that period was crazy, man. It was like a lot of this shit, you know, I was loved and fucking hated at the same time because, like, once Kermit, I guess, once we got to making money and shit, you know, he kept me together. Like I had a lot of clothing stores in the city that would just give me clothes for tours, give me fucking Jordans and all kind of shit. Jewelry shops would come to my house on 94th and St. Clair and with fucking cases of jewelry and Uzis and shit. and be, custom made pieces for me, and all kind of. It was all the way live for me, man. For a young dude, like I lived a crazy life, man. Like it was all, like this shit was crazy. Thinking about some of this shit, it was like, wow, it was like a whole nother dude. But it was sweet though. But like the bittersweet part of the shit is, and I think we talked about this shit, and it's pertinent to the situation. But like the whole shit with how we stopped fucking with each other for a minute. When they stopped fucking with me, I'm gonna say, was like probably just jealousy or some bitterness from the whole shit, because we was boys, you know what I'm saying? We was parents before all this shit. But when you 17, 18 or whatever, 19, and you traveling around the world and getting the free clothes and all that shit and everything, like I can't honestly say that I was feeling how my dudes probably was feeling, you know what I'm saying? Even though the record, when we put out Faces of Death, it was hard to get that shit away at the time. Like Cleveland was like, man, Cleveland, of course, it's with anything. Bone was always super fucking talented. You know what I'm saying? We all were. But, it had to take Eazy-E to come back with them for them to really pop. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, the city, like, oh, shit, they got Eazy. Oh, man, you know what I mean? Great, but they was just as talented before they left. You know what I'm saying? But, like, the whole situation with that shit, like I'm gonna say I was probably not aware of how my bills was probably looking at the shit, probably like this motherfucker getting all this free shit and all kind of shit. We out here struggling, and then I probably was more on some shit like fucking any 17, 18-year-old kid who I ain't never really seen or had shit. I was had the blinders on and was probably just on go mode like shit. But looking back on it, I think that shit kind of put a wedge between us and shit.
Well, you're probably one of the only people we could ask to kind of give an idea of the impact of Faces of Death, if there was any, anything pre-Eazy. So Faces of Death drops. Like, what was the reception of it, and what was like the reality of that time of Bone releasing Faces of Death with you as the executive producer, Jammit Recordings being part of it? Like what I'm saying is pre-Eazy. What was reality in the world like for Bone and for yourself, as far as like where you guys thought things were going?
Like 93, because it's 93 is when it dropped. So what was that time period like?
Like I'm looking at a picture right now that I'm gonna take a picture of it and see, but it's of me at the Richfield Coliseum, which is where the Cavs used to play. And it was some fucking big ass shit with me, Ghetto Boys, X-Clan, I can't remember who else, think of Dougie Fresh, somebody, I don't remember what, bunch of people, but it's me, rapping this shit, and Layzie was my hype man at the time, and he was, on stage with me, and, around that time, it was like the tale of two situations, probably from their aspect and from my aspect. Like I said, like I was like waiting to label Cash Cow at the time, so we were just rolling, and it's just like like I say, looking back at it, my dude, it probably was Kermit, man. Kermit a great, Kermit like everybody in the world. We got good and bad, you know what I mean? But like. It's a lot of the divisiveness and shit that be going on where, like, it'll be a lot of playing each other off of each other type shit. Like, I remember when, the album came out, Faces of Death, and then it really wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. And it's just like, Carmen is just like, once he sees some shit ain't really moving or some shit, he ain't really, he wasn't really putting no more money in it or pushing it hard and shit like that. Like I said, like shit was going good on my end. So, reality was, we was all trying to get off this fucking label. They was on 99th, shit was all fucked up, cases and just all kind of crazy shit. And just, I'm running around on one hand like a fake ass rap star, and then on the other hand, I'm selling weed and shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, it was crazy because perception, you know, I guess people perception is everything. So, like I told you, I got fucking, wow, I don't even know, 20 bands worth of jewelry on. This we talking about in the 90s. I got all fresh gear and 4 or 5 cars on Dayton's. And, like, you know, my dudes is, like, really struggling. And it's, like, probably looking like, damn, I'm eating off this rap shit, but the whole time I never ate off that rap shit like that. You know what I mean? Like I just was always about my business. So I'm gonna say, like, you know, reality back then it was two sides to what reality we talking about, mine and theirs. You know what I mean? So like I said, even further when you got Carm in the middle of the shit, like, oh yeah, we sit and chill on tour here or whatever. But I'm sure they probably was like, well, what's up with our shit or whatever, you know. And for that matter, South Palm Built Their Lives probably was the same way and shit. It was like, you know, man, looking back on it, shit just fucking crazy because you just, you know, I wish I was just smart enough back then to see that shit back then while it was happening. You know what I mean? Then I would have, because at the same time, I was making sure, you know, they could eat how they could and shit. You know, on the other end, like, we was doing whatever we had to do to make sure shit was, you know, right, but wasn't nobody really fucking had no money or none of that shit. So it was just like boom. And then on top of not really having no money and shit, I was probably looking like I was. So that probably really was just more like boom. While when they got on, they probably was like, man, fuck you, we ain't gonna put chill, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the decision was that they made or whatever, they probably feel like that nigga already got it or whatever. I don't know.
Did Faces of Death have like a good performance as far as like an independent release? What did it see, like even a fraction of what K Chill's Get Your Funky Off saw at the time period before Eazy-E?
No, like, so like my shit was banging. You know, I didn't say sound scans before back then. Like I tell you about, I was in Jammit Records office one time and I saw the sound scan with. When the Bodyguard was out, it was Whitney Houston. It was number 1, Whitney Houston Bodyguard. Number 2, Garth Brooks. Number 3, K Chill. Number 4, 5, say number 6, K Chill. People was buying my old shit, thinking it was my new shit. You know what I mean? So, like, the shit really, like, you know, the shit was going. Plus, we have, you know, regular rotation. You know, all in the clubs. Yeah, you know, Monday through Friday, my shit on the radio. You know, Carm was a fucking genius on the level that, to this day, I bet you Bone ain't never signed more autographs than when he had us in Sandusky, Ohio one time. And, like, at some kind of fucking festival they had, I swear we signed autographs for, like, $4 or $5. Bone and myself. And this was with Bone CD not even really moving hard, but like, the way he knew how to do shit was he would just, you know, it was a simpler time. That's why I say, like, if somehow you could marry today's technology with this gangster shit we was doing back then, like, so you would have artists blowing up all the fucking time. But, like, we would, or Kermit, you know, Evil Genius ass would go to a little city like Sandusky or something, and he'd get with the DJs and the program director and shit, and probably, I'm sure, you know, some money was exchanged or something, and then next thing you know, we'd come back to that city like 30, 40 days, and they had been playing the fuck out the music and all that shit, and we was like fucking stars in that little city. Like, they had probably been and had, like, Diego Black and them would probably go down there and start posting pictures everywhere and shit and everything, and, like, next thing you know, I mean, we in that boy and we fucking stars. Like, and that was the genius to the plan. Like, I'm going to say, Kermit knew how to sell that shit. Like, he knew across the world and everything. Like, he had avenues to maneuver that shit. And it was just like, all we had to do was bring him a hit or bring him an act that people fuck with, and it was going.
Do you still have any kind of contact with Diego Black or Kermit Henderson?
Man, I don't see neither one of them. Like, occasionally I'll see Kermit post something or send him a happy birthday on Facebook or something. I don't see D Black. I ain't seen Diego in like years, man, but like probably, man, the last time I seen him might have been 10, 15 years ago, and it was always all I love still. So, you know, I see Archie every blue moon. I see Archie on Facebook all the time, but you know, I see him in the streets every blue moon. And it's still all love from everybody. I see Soulja Boy, you know, every I see Soulja Boy probably more than anybody. Like, and it's always love, you know, so it is what it is.
All right, y'all. We're going to get this first break in. Make sure that you subscribe. That way you're ready for part 2 of this epic K-Chill interview. We are going beyond the harmony. BeyondTheHarmony.com.